Gentlemen,
Is that
nice
is
to
that the
see you.
voice? The voice of Jenna?
Yeah,
The
it's
voice behind the screen.
it's dramatic effect.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I didn't learn.
I'm not a big videographer, so I need to try and.
Yeah, I don't think a videographer is a thing.
Hey now.
I did I say it like that?
No.
Videographer. I said videographer. Video. Hi, how are you both?
Hey Justin. Hey
Hey,
Jenna.
Malty.
Hi. Thank you, Multi, for joining us. As usual, Multi's the best regular. That's all I gotta
Look
say.
at Malty has a habit. He's known for being a regular and then taking over your show.
No.
You know what? If
Which
Multi wants to take over, that's fine. It can be the Justin and Multi show. I will
No,
step down.
it would be the Malty and Malty show.
Oh, double the Multi?
We can have multiple Maltys. He can be multi.
so I have to like record one day and then come back and give
Yes,
hot
yes,
takes of what I said the first
Oh,
time.
yes. You can
that
chime in on your own opinions.
that's good.
Yes.
Yes. We do that and the we should develop a segment of like does shit Multi knows how to like build and create and stuff. Like just shit Multi knows.
Mm.
I like it. People learn shit. I learn
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah. All right.
He'll get
It's
interested. It's okay.
strange. It's strange ideas that these people have.
These people. Who are you calling these people?
Yeah.
You'll like it.
Trying to
It'll
Yeah.
be
be
fun.
inclusive, you know.
Yes. It'll be fun. Anyway. Well,
Sure.
welcome back. We were supposed to have a guest this evening, but unfortunately, it was supposed to be with Frustrated Atheist, but he does reside in Texas, so he is still experiencing power issues. So, we'll have him on at a future time where, everything's all kind of ironed out for him. So, no worries there, Russ. We'll get you back on at a later date. But we still have something to talk about, so that's why we're still here, right, guys?
Mm-hmm.
Before we go into whatever you wanted to talk about, I just read an article about um, the ongoing issues in Texas. So even though power is restored and the snow is melted, there are people that are still waiting weeks out for plumbers and other types of workers to come and fix the damage that has been done. So there's still a lot of people in temporary lodging and or without running water because they just don't have the availability to repair all the damage in a timely
Hmm.
manner.
Wow.
Yeah, that and the fact that people are being charged thousands of dollars because they left their power switches on and all that. So that's
Well,
Well,
that's a whole big problem of variable rate utility services. So
hmm
as the pricing is pretty much automatic, supply and demand. And when the supply gets lower or the demand increases, like we had with a failing power grid, the price per kilowatt skyrockets. So the people that are on a variable plan, they are paying less normally than somebody who's on a fixed plan, because a fixed plan will basically estimate your power usage.
for a
Be-
year or
yeah,
whatever.
and then it will give you a somewhere average price on your estimated usage
Hmm
between the summer and winter months because you normally, well, here we use a lot more in the winter. Um, in some places, you use more in the summer for cooling. So they give you an average. Um, so some people like to.
but they're trying to get a, a an amount that is reasonable for you to pay on a
Hmm.
monthly basis that averages out the actual amount that you used. But I mean, I guess it all depends if the kilowatt price per kilowatt hour goes into the tens of thousands of dollars, and that's your plan, then that's your plan.
Yeah, yeah. So the people that did not have an average price or a fixed rate plan, um, basically did the essentially uh, analogous to like a disastrous or what do they call them those insurance policies where you only pay like if something catastrophic happened. So basically, their uh, their rate was incredibly low when they were using low and the prices were low. But if anything ever happened and it went higher, they're also on the hook for that. And that's kind of part of how that plan works is you follow the actual current price. So while natural gas and energy was cheap, it was great. But these catastrophic plans are just that.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah. And I have fixed rate plan on my electrical bill, my
most
gas.
most people do.
Yeah. But is all that being said, and that totally makes sense with you, breaking it down and explaining it. All that being said, though, should these people be held responsible to pay that X amount of money?
Um, they're probably not going to be, or they're going to be subsidized or be put on payment plans to pay it off. Because some of them are pretty high, up to 12, 15, $18,000 just for a couple days worth of energy use or a
Mm-hmm.
week.
Yeah.
It's pretty
Right.
rugged what's going on there. But the lieutenant governor of Texas said they're going to try to help everybody and potentially outlaw these types of plans, but they're not
Yeah.
sure yet.
Really. I mean, because I was talking to a Texan who's a lawyer, and he was thinking that it was he thought it was criminal, but I mean that might be his personal opinion.
I mean, it's one of those things where it's like, if it's, I mean, we can say that it's criminal. You can say that it was, it should be unconstitutional per, whatever mandate or state law or whatever it may be, but it's too little too late now. It happened. They have the bill. They have to
Yeah,
figure out
the
what to do
bill's in the
about it.
mail, right?
Yeah, I don't necessarily. I don't know if well, I haven't given it heavy thought. I wouldn't necessarily presently. I wouldn't classify it as whether it being criminal or unconstitutional or however type of legal application you want to apply to it. I would just pretty much say that it was an unfortunate circumstance, like how a person would experience, going through a hurricane issue situation or a tornado, and some type of cost drove up, on top of them going through an experience that's devastated, a death in the family or just devastated that household in general. And then adding to the hurt is that they're responsible to cover this cost of this high cost of an electrical bill that they did not have any service of. That just plainly seems wrong.
I
That's
mean,
that's simple.
this is not new to
Mhm.
U.S. citizens. It's relatively new and unheard of in a place like Texas, which doesn't get impacted by natural disasters often. But if you look at California in terms of their wildfires, insurance companies are dropping policyholders just because there's so many fires going on, they can't afford to insure everybody.
Mhm.
Um,
If you
and
don't have a
and
metal roof, yeah.
yeah, so they start looking for reasons to either charge you more or drop you from the plan if you're not, putting in these very strict safety measurements in place. But it, I mean, there's a point where there's nothing you can do if your house is in the middle of something that, a fire. There's nothing
Mhm. No,
you can do that's gonna save it.
that's true.
And the same
And
thing,
it'll
and
be yeah. Go
I was
ahead.
gonna
I'm
say it's
sorry.
the same thing in states where there's hurricanes.
Mhm.
There's a lot of places that have separate hurricane and flood coverage, and or policies that don't protect or that don't cover acts of God or nature or whatever they're gonna call it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. And you would think I don't. I mean, my sister and I, we don't have fire insurance, and we live in a hilly area surrounded by California oak trees. And there have been at least two or three occasions within the last year that there has been a fire close to us, at least within a 5-mile radius of our
Yeah,
home.
I mean, when you go outside and the sky is orange and you can smell fire,
And
uh,
ash is just sprinkled in
but
front of your
but you
front
can't
door.
even, but you end up in these situations where you can't even get coverage. Like it doesn't even exist, and so
Hmm.
you're left with no choice but to be on the hook for the cost of whatever happens. I mean,
Yeah.
this is a whole aside, so I haven't really looked into it, but I'm
Yeah.
sure there's plenty of people that file for bankruptcy or they're just stuck with this bill and they just never pay it.
No, you're
Yeah,
right. No,
it
it was good. Oh, go
definitely.
ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. It shows how deregulation and just market pricing is setting yourself up for, it. It seems to be responsive. It seems to make sense until it gets as this setup like this happens, and then it just can't doesn't have the it doesn't have something underneath it holding it up as much. It just seems to fall apart.
Yeah. And Maya, you raise a good point, and I was just
Hmm.
gonna kind of say this, dependent on where you live in the US. I pretty much, yeah, I'm on the East Coast. Generally, insurance will cover fires, but rarely floods. Flood insurance is separate. Yeah, so I would say, depending on where you live, East Coast mostly are flood issues. So I'm sure your flood insurance, separate from whatever other insurance that you have, would be dramatically more expensive than, say, flood insurance for me on the West Coast, because we don't have those issues. Our issues are fires. So obviously the well, first of all, the means of which we can get fire insurance coverage, which I don't think we would even qualify for, even given the fact that we live in a hilly area. And two, it would be hella fucking expensive. And at the very least, we have homeowners insurance. So if you just have that, which most people don't necessarily have in California, unsurprisingly, at the very least, if you have that, then that should be good enough.
Are
It should
you
be.
are you not required to carry homeowners if you're mortgaging your home?
You know what? I'll backtrack. I believe it is a requirement. I'm not absolutely certain because it's been like 3 years since I actually signed a contract, and I don't remember that whole process. So I have to backtrack
Cause,
on that.
cause I'm required to carry it's two times, 2 point something times the home value, which is effectively the rebuild cost
Mm.
Hmm.
of basically demoing the whole house and rebuilding a whole brand new one. And I'm required to carry that much.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Wow.
I think I'm about the same um, with mine. It's about a third of my monthly mortgage.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Half of my
that's
mortgage
escrow. Yeah,
is escrow.
yeah.
Yeah. Hmm.
But I
But
think
What?
yeah,
it's yeah, between
but
taxes and,
but
and
actually, now
insurance.
that I take it back, the actual homeowners insurance is not that much for me.
I forget
Um,
what's a lot. I
Yeah, my
things are.
my my pricing and idea of what is a lot or reasonable is complete a whole different world for probably for both of you. Like
Oh
we're all
yeah.
on completely different price ranges here.
Yeah.
hmm
Yeah, that's one thing that
A
is
question, Lisa.
up for in Michigan. Um, until recently, it was required to cover PLPD, no fault insurance, that had unlimited personal injury protection, and so it made our cost of insurance sky high. It still is, like, but
Hmm.
they removed that requirement recently, and the cost has gone down a tiny bit. But you're required to carry car insurance by law in most states, and it it doesn't even necessarily cover everything. Um, Especially on the no fault side, are in Michigan, you're required by law to carry car insurance that only covers the medical expenses for other people if
Hmm.
you're at fault.
Right.
So and it's already super expensive. Like mine's not that bad, but if you're a newer insurer or you're younger, you're just starting off, it's typically between $300 and $600 a month. And then you have car insurance, but as far as your vehicle, it's useless. There's a lot of people that they buy cheap cars because uh, they know that when they total it, they're just gonna be done with it and get a new one.
Isn't your car insurance rate dependent upon the brand and how new your car is
In Michigan,
in
it's
Michigan?
more determined by your zip code. Where you live, where you park, where you garage your vehicle has a lot more to play a factor than your actual vehicle, because if you're near a high crime area like Detroit,
Oh,
you're going to pay significantly higher. So the insurance, my insurance rate, if I garaged in Detroit, would probably be 2 or 3 times as high as it is now.
wow.
It,
I
it's
never
another
thought
it's
of that.
another it's another poor tax.
Yeah. Yeah. Fuck. I know we're on a tangent, but damn, that
Hmm.
sucks. At least here, it's wow. I'm sorry, that tripped me out for a minute.
Yeah, and they take your credit score into account too.
Well, yeah, I think credit score takes into account on anything, to be quite honest. I can't imagine what your credit score does not take into account, which is a conversation I actually want to have with you on a different show, because that was pretty interesting when we had talked about it earlier in the week. But not to derail too much, but this is a good conversation to have. Um, I want to talk about Aunt Jemima.
You tell us about Aunt Jemima.
The syrup is good. That's all I know. I had it a lot when I grew up. That was the syrup I had growing up on my pancakes. Okay, sorry. All right, no more. It was. I don't know how this conversation started, and we just talked about it yesterday too. But you went off on a rant, and I was like, I want to talk about this for real,
Mm.
because it occurred to me, and I'm sure that most of us may recall this or not, especially in the like the occurrence of like especially sports teams like the Washington State football team, whatever they're fucking called now, that used to be called the Redskins. A lot of sports teams like hockey teams and baseball teams have changed their names to not reflect bigoted, branding names, obviously. And then, of course, that kind of trickled down to certain, food brand names and things like that, quote, i.e., Aunt Jemima. So, of course, if anyone does not know, Aunt Jemima is a syrup that you put on your pancakes, and also a pancake mix. So, within the last within the last month, like earlier this year, they had started to just rebrand and will push out their new brand name by June, I read, and they're going to call it Pearl Milling Company or something
Yeah,
wacky.
that was
Pearl. Yeah.
Pearl
Why?
Milling.
Why Pearl?
That was the name of the company.
It
That
was the original
that was
The
the
company.
that was the name.
yeah, the old school,
Yeah.
original one was something else. It wasn't Pearl though,
Well,
actually.
I mean, it seems like this is a
It was
product that's
something
owned by
milling.
PepsiCo, which it's a Quaker product, which is a subsidiary of PepsiCo, and then and so what? Is that what you're saying? Whose
Good one.
mill did was making the pancake mix? I guess
It wasn't.
Pearls.
I don't know where the pearl reference came from, but it when I looked at actually, you know what? I have a picture. Hold on. I got a picture. Hold on. Here we go. There's my picture. You can't even fucking see it. Hold on. Um so on this brand that I pulled off of Wikipedia, the company is something milling and it's not pearl. And I'm guessing that's why they named it to it, but I don't know why they reference the pearl.
Well, that says Davis Milling Company.
Yes, thank you, Davis. You have better eyes than I do. I don't know why I'm wearing glasses. Anyways, but the point of it is, well, there's a lot of points, but the main point is that there have been a lot of I guess you can say, actresses that in the past have been representatives of, branding and modeling and advertising Aunt Jemima. And, obviously, these were older Black women in the early and mid to late 1920s to 50s and 60s, where of course they received little to no monetary benefit or royalties from these ads. And even to the point where even the legacy of, since they're passing, most of them, their families fighting the companies in court, and now have even more of a struggle since, PepsiCo, and I believe Quaker Oats is the main controller, have now decided to switch their branding all of a sudden. Now they even have more of a stance to not um, honor any type of royalties to these families because of the brand name change. And what was it in the last 2, 3 years that a court ruling said it was, they denied a one particular family any rights or royalties because they deemed it as a fictional character and it wasn't representative of the actual person that modeled it or something,
Hmm.
something like that. I had her name written down. I lack my research at the moment. Anna, Anna, but the very first original one
Nancy
for
Green.
Nancy Green. She was an enslaved. She was born enslavement and was a house slave. Moved to Chicago, and per the right of her owner, she was allowed to be an ad and be the first pretty much brand of Aunt Jemima. And this is that picture I showed. That's her. That's Nancy Green, the original Aunt Jemima, you can say. And so obviously it is a mammy archetype. It's a caricature of what the classic old Black Southern post-slave lady looked like. And especially the fictitious, representation of the little Black family at the bottom too, the little caricature of them. It's a lot of racial stereotype in it, and also it has a lot of really bad racial, aftermath to it, because none of these representatives, none of these actresses that posed as these caricatures or represented this company, at least in the early part of it, received any type of compensation, especially in Nancy Green. She definitely did not. I believe the one following her, Anne, did, to the point where she was able to purchase housing, which was eventually bulldozed and reconstructed in the 1960s. It was some crazy mess. But yeah,
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, I did not know about that part. I am seeing here on NPR that PepsiCo is saying that they are pledging some money.
$5 million.
Right.
pledging what?
A 5-year commitment to advance and uplift Black businesses and communities in
Why?
response. Um, in response to them doing the branding change, and was part of the whole same press release, I think.
I mean, that's fine and dandy, but why? I think it would be more of a benefit to pay what is owed to the legacy of these families, that to these women that represented the company, is it not? I'd rather that money go towards them rightfully than them trying to show and demonstrate. Because realistically, if we think about this, they didn't really suddenly make this change. And I read a little bit about it too. They didn't really suddenly make the brand name change, and a lot of companies did this post what happened to George Floyd last year.
Yeah.
It was not until
Greenwashing.
around that time, within a month or a couple of months after that, that they were suddenly trying to rebrand themselves, and now suddenly have done so as of earlier this year. So, oh, now all of a sudden there's just an even more dramatic stance on Black Lives Matter, an even more dramatic scene of violence against an innocent black person. Now you want to contribute to the community when you denied the rights of the families just a few years back? I don't know. So I did pose a
Good
question
point.
as a descriptor to the stream, and it's taken me a while to think about this too. I mean, I have clear understanding of why, pointed out some facts of why. Should they have kept the image? I mean, the image has changed over the years, obviously. Aunt Jemima once had a head wrap and stuff and wore, old fashioned, homey, mammy clothes. And then the most recent one, before they changed it, they removed the head wrap and put her in like curls and pearls and a nice shirt to make her look more presentable, more, not raggedy or whatever. So, should they have kept the image of Aunt Jemima on their brand at the very least, even if they wanted to change the name or just kept both?
Hmm.
Would that
Instead
still
of
be would that still be posed as racist? Did they do the right thing? Or on the side of the family, their fight is that since they're now losing more of a battle to win the rights that they're owed because now the brands have changed. They have no leverage.
When the lawsuit, so when the family of Nancy Green and Harrington, who was another actress that played as her, when the lawsuit was dismissed, it was dismissed in a way that's called with prejudice. And what that means is you can't file that lawsuit again. Um, so the battle is already lost.
Mm.
Now I'm sure there's people that are going to argue that they want that heritage, they want that history. I mean, it's a thing. You can't just make it not be there anymore, right? I mean, this isn't like a Confederate statue that we just want to go away. This is something that somebody did that wasn't. She didn't do anything wrong. The company might have exploited her,
Hmm.
and the black culture and whatever it may have been, but she didn't do anything wrong. There's her existing even as a fictional character um, isn't wrong on the character part, but it's should the company be allowed to continue to profit off of a black face that they exploited for 150 years.
yeah,
Well, they did for a couple of years up until recently.
What do you
Well, I
mean?
mean,
They
I mean,
they
I mean, I mean, post the lawsuit in 2018, they did up until they rebranded. What about that time? I mean, obviously the time before that, right? I'm considering all that, but that battle is already lost, like you said. I'm talking about up until the time where that lawsuit was finalized in 2018, leading up until now, where they have changed their branding name. What about that time where they still held the name and the image?
I mean, legally, it's their image, their name. Nobody else has rights or ownership of that. So I mean, I don't know what you would propose to do with anything gained from that time, but legally, the company owns all of that, and they have throughout the life of the brand.
Hmm.
People were contracted to play as an actress, but they never had any rights or ownership of any of it. It would be different if they offered them like a stake in the company or some sort of royalties, but it doesn't appear that that anybody ever legally had um, any like uh, anything to gain after they were let go from their contract. So it's just
Yeah.
it's been exploitive from the beginning,
Yeah.
every step of the way.
Yeah. And it doesn't appear like they have any real interest besides, sorry, I can't talk. Contributing $5 million to black businesses or communities or whatever the fuck they're trying to do. I
Well,
think,
yeah, they're all the money's going to charities. It's all gonna get written off, and or it's
sure.
whatever doesn't get written off will be looked upon as free publicity, free marketing,
Hmm.
investment into keeping and maintaining their black customers in
Hmm.
light of these revelations. In case somebody comes out with a different brand that is more culturally sensitive and looked upon more favorably. So that's why these companies put all this money into it. It has nothing to do with actually helping. It's to make it's marketing and PR and publicity. I mean, it's the way that the companies and corporations work. It's incredibly difficult to give away money freely that doesn't have a return on your investment. It's almost illegal to hurt your investors in any way.
Yeah.
They can sue you and change your decisions if you financially hurt your investors. So you can't even so anytime that big corporations are spending money, it's in the best interest of the investors. It has to be. It's legally required to be.
Hmm. That's the truth.
And because the real customers are not the people that buy stuff, it's the investors that are financially gaining uh, uh, from the future sales of the business.
So with all that blocking, so does all that, is that an excuse to block someone within the company that has some control or push with how the money is distributed to be like, hey, we can, you know, shuckle out 1 million to this family or something like that?
Well, the only way you're going to get $1 million from a company is by suing and winning, and or settling a contract, or settling in court or out of court with lawyers. Companies can't just give away money. They can't just say you deserve this, and now you just have it now. It doesn't work that way.
Mm-hmm. And you're right, Multi. Yeah, it is a large corporation. I guess I know I'm just, it's obvious to me that a major corporation like PepsiCo and all these other places, they can't just, offhandedly give out money just to give out money without, you know, speaking with investors, having lawyers involved, all this other, legal stuff in between. I understand that. I just wanted all that voiced, and it makes sense. Unfortunately, I it 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 bothers me, which is why I'm asking. And it's not like we have not heard this type of stuff before with exploitation of not just black people but other minority groups of used images and over the years in history of brands of multiple things. um and it even has come to the point where even black creators themselves exploit stereotypical or mammy archetype images in their work, i.e., Tyler Perry in his Medea series stuff, which I classically hate. So, um, besides all that, sorry, I hit my mic. Besides all that, is the image alone racist? Does it appear racist? Do you feel it's racist?
I don't think you can separate the image from the connotations from the history.
Hmm.
If it was a founded by a black family and locally owned, and then it grew into a big corporation, and they maintained that image the whole time, it would be entirely different context
Hmm.
than what we have here.
Okay.
You can't just like whitewash or wipe away the history behind it.
Yeah. It was exploitative um, from the beginning. You know. It's an
Just
advertisement campaign.
yeah, just because it morphed into a palatable with the times version of a black, motherly character.
In society
It
kind of
only it
everything.
only does so by outside pressure. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? If their sales were never hurt by the original image, they would still have the original image.
So
It's
what other racist foods are having name changes?
Land O'Lakes removed their Native American mascot or whatever you want to call it from
Yeah.
their imagery.
Okay.
Washington football team is now the Washington football team because they couldn't pick a fucking name. They just can't figure out how to not be fucking racist. So now they're just Washington
Okay.
football team.
I mean, can you pick an animal? Washington Eagles,
I
parrot,
I,
something?
I think Eagles are a bit
Or I'm
played.
sorry, my bad. That's Philadelphia. Well, I mean, I'm just saying you could pick an animal. How hard is that?
Well, they had a Uncle Ben's. They had a
You're
list
right.
of proposed names, and they just couldn't settle on one. I think there was too much pressure to maintain the current name, and so they kind of defaulted to this Washington football team.
Hmm,
Yeah.
that's interesting. We were so overdue for a name change. Well, yeah, I've heard they've been talking about this for several years. It's not
Mhm.
until like more and more, shit happened in recent years that they finally were just, flippantly just settled on something boring. Um,
I
Yeah.
like.
Well, I'm happy
yeah.
that Uncle Ben's and Aunt Jemima is changing. Definitely.
Mhm. Oh, that's right. Uncle Ben's is the rice. I have that too. Actually, I think I have Aunt Jemima syrup in my fridge.
Mm-mm. You need to throw it away.
No, it's good. No, I was kidding.
Okay.
Uh, but this kind of bridges me to a point I was um touching on when you see black people exploiting that same type of racist archetype or stereotypical archetype of and it's mainly most of the time, majority of the time is of black women, i.e., what Tyler Perry does in his like creativeness or whatever you want to call that. Is that I don't even know what kind of question to pose because I mean, obviously, for instance, with me, I separate from my family. My mother and my sister, they enjoy it. I despise it. I see and I've seen the shows, I've seen the plays, I've seen the movies, and separate from his Medea series stuff, I've seen his other separate works that still showcase black women as either crackheads or drug dependent or oh, I'm so broken, I need a man, boo hoo, oh, I found a man, now I'm good, or beaten or to a point where they catch a disease and then they're just broken and end their life at the end of the movie just like that. It's nothing positive and
Hmm.
nothing that displays anything separate from what society visualize a broken black woman is.
Yeah, and when they do, when Medea, Tyler Perry inevitably comes and saves the day and teaches them how to be a independent adult, it's always in like a hysterical, over the
Mhm.
top, borderline illegal manner. I'm gonna go yell and point guns and be crazy.
Mhm. Mhm. And mind you, people are watchful of that. People outside my skin color are watchful of that and they think, oh, you're that way too. No. So when is further pushed by people of my skin color and not representing any type of, diversity that we are, just like any other race or any other ethnicity, then we perpetually keep this mammy archetype, this racist stereotypical idea of what I'm just referencing a black image of a black woman is.
Hmm.
And we can never escape that. just like any other ethnicity has their own type of whatever encompasses them in this kind of box. I'm ranting. I don't know. All black women are just living their lives waiting for the right man to come along. Yeah. Yes,
Am I a
clearly.
black woman?
Are you waiting for the white man to come along?
Yeah. Yeah, I
Hmm.
need
Multi, are
I
you
need some
single?
help.
I see.
Multi's good. He can make you a
Hmm.
window.
I can, I
He
can.
can make you a window
There you go.
and fix my lighting.
There
And
you
fix your
go.
lighting.
There you go.
Yeah, get that key light set up correctly.
Mm, that's nice.
Okay.
In the spirit of the end of Black History Month, there you go. I just wanted to rant. See,
Yeah,
Christine thought
no,
it was
that's
funny. Hi,
Oh,
Christine.
oh, wow.
Well, that's all, Justin. You sparked my interest. So, as an angry black woman, I just had to talk about it.
Yeah. So, I mean, I've seen a lot of conversation about it. I think the key thing to kind of point out is that changing the name and or removing the picture is not removing the history or the past or the legacy that's already been wiped away a long time ago, and it's not because it's not the original or any of the first few that did it, and they give no respect, no homage to the people that did do it. They didn't use their name. They're not using their likeness. They only paid them for the length of their contractably contracted obligation.
Obligation. Hmm.
And Nancy Green, didn't get lifetime royalties or anything. When she died, she was living with family. She worked as a like a housemaid after stopping being the brand ambassador. So the damage has been done every step of the way. So there's no you're not doing. I mean that's you. I think you can argue that it's you can defend having black faces on popular brands as a way to be part of the culture of the food culture and things like that. But the argument that we're erasing a legacy is has no weight to it.
mm,
Fairly put.
hmm.
I mean, if a black owned business started a pancake and syrup company tomorrow and put a black face on it, and that would be totally different and perfectly fine.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
but it's the legacy of Nancy Green and the original Aunt Jemima and the other actresses along the way has this yeah, there's nothing there. There's nothing there to defend.
Right. And
It's all fictional.
yeah, and you sparked something when you had said something about a black dome because I spotted something over a week ago that I screenshotted because I was like, oh, this seems like something to bring up at some point. I don't know. So like, there's this guy, um, uh, where he's a black owned he well basically he created a breakfast cereal. He owns a black owned breakfast food company, and created a cereal for the culture, quote unquote. And so it's basically, the headline of it is, get ready for Proud Puffs, a chocolate flavored vegan cereal formed in the shape of a black fist.
Um, that's a bit much for me. I don't like vegan cereal.
Is this a
Oh,
pea
that was a bit much.
protein?
That was a bit
Yeah,
much.
Is
how
it, are
much?
it almond based? What is, what's the water intake,
So
for the,
So the guy, so maybe Justin, you could probably pull this up faster than I can. His name is Nick Nic without the K. Nic King. Nick King. Uh, So basically, the top of it is the 34-year-old had recently left his corporate job. The Black Lives Matter protest following the death of George Floyd had just begun and spread nationwide. So because of this, and given the history of the unfortunate deaths of black killings by police, he created an idea to start his own company to create a cereal with the image of black fists, and on the cereal box, it has the faces of the well-known deaths of the images of those black people that died
Hmm.
Mm.
on the cereal box.
Yeah,
And
I'm
it's
looking at
called
it
Proud
now.
Puffs.
Yeah.
Ooh, can you
I
share your screen?
yeah, I think something like that has a limited shelf life in terms of how long it's going to be popular enough to be a business, like a brand for a business.
In a sense, it looks like it could be novelty at best.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Hold on. I got you. I got you, bro. There we go.
Um,
Let me blow it up.
yeah,
Proud Puffs.
yeah.
Mm.
So the cereal the cereal, the brand is called I just saw it. I don't remember, but um Proud Puff thing. Oh, maybe it was down here.
Well, when you were talking there earlier, Jenna,
Hmm.
what came to mind is there's a branding that has gone on over the years of what um, that an angry black woman is something to be scared of, 'cause that a bunch of young black men together is nothing but trouble. And so it's like if I'm walking um, in my neighborhood, go down to the Safeway. Um, do I feel more comfortable with someone that is dressed on his way to a mosque, or someone that is, in $300 sneakers and pants halfway down his butt?
Hmm.
It Yeah, there's definitely some branding that needs to change, because if this is the understanding of what black culture is, how do we get away from that? Is that accurate? Uh,
Well, because
Accurate's not the right
it's
word that I'm trying to go for, but
no, it's interesting because I remember someone had it was like oh I would say at least a year ago someone had said this in the ACD Discord where it's not right. Well, basically it's not right for non-black people to say the N word, but black
hmm
people can because they're taking ownership of it. But even for myself, I have very fairly moderately high uncomfortability of even saying that personally, and I'm black. So I can't, I haven't really given it a lot of thought and dove into anyone's general understanding of, taking ownership of that name, or that name, that word.
hmm
But I just can't find a solid argument or create a solid argument that I can stand for to where saying the N word in any regard to anyone, no matter what color skin color you are, is good or has holds any benefit because of the connotation that it holds given the creation of it in Black history.
yeah.
So, when you see, brands like this and you see people like Tyler Perry that creates these, movies and shows and stuff, I mean, it's good that they're trying to, you know, in their own way, create awareness, create, make a statement, um, obviously make money, and there's nothing wrong with that. But, making a point to create some recognition around, Black Lives Matter and their importance and how things that have happened to us and how wrong they have been and how traumatizing it has been. This is our creative way of demonstrating that. I guess in that, I don't know. I have mixed feelings, and even with this
Rightly
cereal,
so.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it's hard. And maybe I'm
Yeah.
the wrong person to have that discussion with because I haven't really formulated a lot of thought around it. And I know a lot of people have. But that's just my kind of take on it.
Yeah.
It's hard.
I want to
Most
feel safe in my neighborhood, and I want to feel safe around everybody.
Yeah. And
Uh,
it's funny because just last week, I went early to the grocery store and because I was preparing to create this surprise for my sister's birthday. And I was coming out, and outside of the grocery store in the parking lot off to the side, not too far from my car, there was like a group of about like 10 people, um, all white, majority women, but a couple of women there, all white, standing in a circle without masks, just conversing. And, they appeared kind of, like anyone else would describe any other minority that's cautious. They appeared kind of mean and looked like they were planning something. And why are you standing outside early in the morning in a group without a mask talking like this? And I'm like, sus.
hmm.
Like, I felt uncomfortable.
I think one thing, Malty, is that in popular culture, especially in movies, is that there's a lot more media that portrays black people in a negative or urban or gang affiliated, drug affiliated, inner city light than
Exactly.
Yeah.
the brighter, more positive light of just day to day suburban life. Like if you go to the Hallmark Channel, there's 800 movies of the same looking blonde woman and the same dude that they neither of them have a real job and they all live in a mansion and they all have a million friends and everybody gets along just fine, but there's virtually no black characters on these shows. But these are the types of movies that give you that warm, feel good feeling and portray these types of like small town people in a very positive light all the time. And we've had this since the beginning of media. So there's always been a hefty amount of positivity around white characters on in the media, whereas the most popular black movies or movies starring minorities are primarily about gangs and drugs and violence, and and there's just not the same ratio of positivity of spread across our popular culture.
Yeah.
So it's definitely a PR marketing thing.
Good talk. I like you guys. You guys are cool people.
Thanks.
I feel comfortable here.
I
You
need
guys make
a
Yeah.
I
you
need
you
a
white guys make me feel comfortable.
I need a stamp on my screen so that I get the Jenna seal of approval.
Boom. Yeah.
Dang. Well, if there's not anything else, you guys want to wrap? Do you want to wrap?
Malty, are you gonna rap?
You gonna freestyle? You gonna freestyle?
Yeah. Control Z's not in the
Justin.
house
Ooh.
tonight.
Control Z.
That's his rap name. Oh shit. Okay, that was too funny. Good, you're good, Multi. I love you. All right, well, I guess we're gonna wrap. Good talk, gentlemen. Love you both.
Woo.
Per usual, if we feel like it, we'll be in the Discord. So join us for the after show.
If we feel like it, it's 1 minute away, and we don't know if we're gonna be there or not.
We don't know. No, just kidding. So if you're not already in their Discord, go ahead and join us. The link works. It fucking works, finally. Trust me. Tiny.cc slash capital IFDC. Join us in the Discord. We'll be there. Maybe. No, we will. So uh as I said, we'll reschedule Frustrated Atheist at a later date. We'll be in contact with him. Hopefully he continues to stay safe down there in Texas. So our dear sweet Justin had to reschedule his show with Neil last weekend, but he is rescheduled for March 9th on Neil's show for a non-deconversion story. So catch that Tuesday, March 9th. Those are the times. Justin will be there, I think. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, come and support my other half. My my
Okay.
best yeah, my other half. I don't know what to call him anymore. Um, you can find Justin at facebook.com/skeptic. And you can find me at facebook.com Black Female Atheist and on Twitter at Janice_BFA. I keep hitting my mic. I'm sorry. Multi.
Mm-hmm. You can find me on the Discord, and I don't have a public Facebook, so we're still working on that and the Twitter.
And you can catch
Yeah.
Malty and Jenna on Nonprofits streaming every Sunday on the YouTubes.
This
Yeah.
should be a good one, I think, this upcoming one.
Yeah, Jenna Belk was recorded.
Mm-hmm.
And so she'll be streamed. It was with Puck and Martin, correct?
Martin and Puck, you bet.
Yeah. So catch Nonprofits this Sunday with Jenna Belt, Martin, and Puck. And then I'll be back recording with Multi down there next week. So we'll be on it next Sunday. So that's
Yeah.
how that works. Until then, this is If Was. You guys join us in Discord. And if not, have a good rest of your night. See you next week. Bye.